Thank you everybody for having me here and for the Sustainable Ag Group for hosting me. I had a nice lunch today earlier on, and I'm looking forward to talking a little bit about research. As Nick mentioned, I'm a biological control specialist. More specifically, I'm a predator ecologist. I study all of the different types of predators, of insects and weed seeds that are operating kind of under the radar screen in all of our farm fields and contributing ecological services free of charge to our farmers. So I have a lot of different research projects going on right now, including ones on lady beetles, on pirate bugs, crickets. But today I'm going to be talking about some of the work that I've been doing on soil food webs within corn system. And one of the groups that I'm going to be talking a lot about today, here, let me turn these lights down so we can, there we go. Did I get that right? Yep. Okay, it's not too dark. One of the groups that I really like a lot are these carabid beetles. These are the little black inconspicuous beetles that are everywhere. Actually quite a diverse group. And I'm going to be talking about also predation, especially within the corn system, on one of our big pests of corn, the corn rootworm. I really enjoy working in these soil systems in that there's a real sense of discovery. For many years, biological control and predator-prey interactions have really focused on the foliar dwelling systems. And whatever happens underneath the soil has been sort of a black box. So these food webs are really poorly understood. We now have the technologies that I'll be introducing some of those to you today, that we can start to unlock some of these soil food webs and understand how top-down ecological processes exacted by some of these predatory insect groups affect soil qualities, crop production, things like that. So, without further ado, I shall begin. All right. So, a lot of entomologists reach a point in their careers where they're looking at their CVs and they're realizing they haven't met their pubs quota for the year. So they go out into the field and they put a transect of pitfall traps and they count carabid beetles. This has produced an awful lot of papers of varying quality and of varying value, but the result is that we know a lot about the carabid communities that are acting in farmland. And they provide a really good example of the incredible diversity and the incredible abundance of some of these natural enemy groups that are working within even the most highly managed crop systems. These are just a couple of examples, and you'll see my name, so I throw this around kind of lightly, but I'm part of the problem. This is just in even the most rudimentary sampling processes, we find dozens of species of these things within corn fields, within soybean fields, all cropping systems. And it's not difficult to get on the order of thousands of beetles in a single season. So this begs the question of how it is that these really complex communities can persist, right? Ecological niche theory says that no two species can coexist at the same time and use the same resources. So how is it that these incredibly diverse groups of organisms can live within a single habitat, especially one that's spatially so simple? I mean, these aren't, like foliar communities. We've got almost what feels like to us a two-dimensional system. I think I'll hopefully show later that this is not a two-dimensional system, that we actually have a lot of interplay within that soil food web. So, when I tell farmers, okay, look at all these bugs. I mean, these are all beneficials. Look at them all out there. These things are working for us. This is great. And the question that they come back to me is, well, yeah, John, you know what, but we still have insect pests, so they're obviously not doing their jobs, right? So this question of why is it that we still have all of these pest problems in cropland, in spite of having all of this diverse predator communities is a good one. Why is it that these predator communities aren't functioning to their optimal levels within our farm fields? And as I've thought about this question over the years, the answer in my mind is that these predators have evolved in a much more complex system. For example, this is a soybean field. This is just a very quick and dirty example of a very simple food web that we've created within our landscapes. We've got soybeans. We've eliminated most of the biodiversity or vegetational diversity with herbicides. We have suddenly about 10 years ago now, we had this invasion of soybean aphids, which was very good for the entomological community because a lot of soybean entomologists got hired as a result of the invasion of this pest. And then we've got the natural enemy community. In spite of having a group of natural enemies of soybean aphids within our soybean fields, we still have regular outbreaks. We still need to spray insecticides to manage these things. What we've done is we've made this a very unstable system. What we're assuming is that within our soybean fields, the only resources that these natural enemies need are soybean aphids. In reality, predators have evolved within very complex food webs, and I don't need to explain this to you guys. These are predaceous arthropods here. A lot of arrows are pointing to these things, right? That means they're eating a lot of different things. They've evolved within these complex systems. They've evolved to rely on a diverse set of resources that we've largely eliminated from our cropland. So the question is, how is it that we reestablish stability? How is it that we reestablish biodiversity within our cropland in ways that are agronomically feasible? After all, we still have to take a crop off, right? Well, the literature, the entomological literature, is fairly consistent in understanding what it is that supports pest management or biological control using some of these conservation of predator techniques within cropland. First, we need to reduce disturbance. Disturbance in the form of insecticides, disturbance in the form of tillage. All of these processes are extremely disruptive to our natural enemy communities. Second off, we need to, in many of these more diversified systems, by growing more than one crop, by reducing herbicide inputs and allowing low levels of weeds within our systems, pest pressure is often reduced. This is in part because the natural enemies find these habitats much more amenable to their daily lives. So, with these two processes in mind, how is it that we're able to design our cropping systems more in line with biological control in order to reduce our dependence on cropland or on insecticides? All right, now let's start talking about the system that I'm going to be spending so much time on today in my 1 hour long spiel. The corn rootworm. This is the billion-dollar pest. It's actually a much bigger than a billion-dollar pest. It costs a lot of money for farmers every year. It is the most severe pest of corn in North America. And now in Europe, it was recently introduced. Big problem. Spreading throughout Europe right now, and they're really concerned about that.
Thank you for watching the Agronomist Podcast. YouTube limits video lengths to 10 minutes. You can watch this seminar in its entirety at the Department of Agronomy website, www.agron.iastate.edu.